I refuse to go on family vacations because my sister insists I babysit. I was repeatedly forced to play the role of helper and babysitter on family outings. I had to move out of my parents' house because I kept being forced to help take care of my 3 nephews. Last year, we took a summer family vacation to the coast. I traveled with my parents and they paid for my hotel room, but I had to share it with 3 unruly boys because my sister and her husband wanted a room to themselves. They promised me time to do my own thing during the vacation, but instead, I ended up having to help with the kids. I complained to everyone about it, and they reminded me I was there for free, and we pretty much only did the one thing I wanted to do, which was visit an art gallery. I like to do this every time I'm on the coast, but the kids find it boring. This year, my parents have a trip to the beach planned for June, and they assumed I would join the same way as last year, but I refused. I said I would drive myself and pay for my own hotel stay so I could have my own room. My parents were shocked and tried to remind me of the cost. I told them it was no problem. I have a good job and a good car. I can more than pay. That's when the argument started. I listed the things mentioned above as reasons why I will drive myself and pay for it myself. I want to be able to enjoy this vacation as an adult and not be treated like a child like last year. My parents told my sister, and she called to scold me, saying I'll ruin the vacation if I'm doing things on my own while she has to deal with her 3 children. I ended up yelling at her because last year all she did was involve me in her problems. I couldn't do many of the things I wanted to do, and I was treated like the bad guy for simply wanting to go to an art gallery. I'm a grown man. I deserve my own vacation too. Now my sister won't talk to me, and my parents keep trying to convince me to go with them to keep the peace. I keep refusing, but the pressure is getting to me. Am I the bad guy for not giving in? I know they'll have a hard time when they don't have someone else there to help. Edit. It's barely been an hour since I posted, but apparently my sister is a Reddit morning viewer and saw my post. She's not just furious. Not only is she upset with me, but she's also upset that no one in the comments is on her side. Long story short, she went on a long rant about how difficult it is to be a mother of triplets, and that the least I could do is help because I'm young and single, and that she needs a break. I stood my ground on my decision, and now she's calling our parents to get involved. I expect a call from them any moment. Mini update. Well, I'm off work now, so I can share more of what happened. I guess you could say it's over. My sister got our parents involved. They saw my post and were absolutely horrified by the continued avalanche of comments. Yes, they're very angry with me for posting here. But I told them that if they had just listened to me from the beginning, I never would have needed to do it. I'm sick of making sacrifices to keep the peace and appease my sister. They in turn scolded my sister, and to make a long story short, the entire vacation was canceled. The hotel wasn't booked yet anyway, but my parents are arguing with my sister. My sister is blaming me and my nephews are crying because they're not going to the beach. My sister called me at lunchtime and basically insinuated that I have no life. That's why I have no time to help. I recorded that and told our parents, and that's what they're currently arguing about. A small update. I wasn't going to update again, but here's a little more. My parents said they'll never force me to babysit my nephews again, and they've agreed that what happened last year was unfair to me. Right now, they're very angry with my sister for telling me I should help her because she thinks I have no life. My sister is playing the victim, and my brother-in-law is basically saying no to the whole mess and spending most of his time at work. Thanks to everyone who commented, you made my day. Update 1. My parents apologized. My sister didn't, at least not at first. A week ago, I created this anonymous account to ask an "Am I the bad guy?" question, and it turned out I wasn't. I had a lot to say, and a friend recommended I come here. My post on "Am I the bad guy?" basically opened a Pandora's box in the family. Basically. My parents and my older sister had gotten very used to me helping with the care of my young triplet nephews. I didn't leave home until I was 22 because I was trying to save money while I went to college. A scholarship covered a lot of it, and living at home kept my debt from increasing, since I also worked part-time. I am very grateful for this, however, after from college, everyone seemed to act like I had infinite time on my hands and convinced me to join a family vacation. On this so-called vacation, I was forced to babysit for my 3 nephews, who were 6 years old at the time. I even had to share a hotel room with them, and believe me, those kids didn't listen to a damn word I said the first night, until I called their mother twice. They treated me like the bad guy for wanting to do other things during the trip. As if it's something the family doesn't enjoy as a whole, then it doesn't happen. Which was extremely hypocritical because I'm family and they didn't include me in that vote. And you can bet I aired this complaint with my parents after my last post, and they admitted they were wrong. After that terrible vacation last year, I decided it was time to move out, and I did so before the summer was over. which surprised everyone since I didn't give them any notice. I got a great job almost immediately after college. And thanks to an internship, I used the move as an excuse to reduce my commute from 45 minutes to 15. My sister resented this, mainly because it meant no more free weekend babysitting, but she still tried to get me to do it. Sometimes I gave in, usually bribed with pizza, and this became the new norm. But then, last month, my parents announced plans for another family vacation to the same spot along the coast, and they basically wanted it to be the same way. I immediately saw it for what it was, a setup. I knew if I traveled with my parents and let them pay for the hotel rooms, I'd be screwed the same way I was last time. So I just casually said I'd drive myself and pay for it myself. And that's when the storm began. When my parents realized they couldn't catch me like before, they resorted to almost desperate begging, and my sister practically tried to order me around. Spoiler alert, I didn't. After not giving in to my sister's demands, I posted on "I'm the bad guy" after days of harassment. And then my sister somehow saw the post within an hour. What followed was a Pandora's box. At first, the family was against me. My sister called our parents, and they called me when I still had a little time to talk in the morning. My parents were on the phone with me while also reading my post. I asked them if anything in the post was a lie. They sidestepped the issue and called the post an exaggeration. But I pointed out numerous details that made it pretty accurate. Then I told them to check the comments. There were already too many to read. I constantly refreshed the page on my home PC and told them how many comments there were. Then I told them I was fed up with their peacekeeping mentality by forcing me to appease my sister. Then I told them I was out of time and we'd have to continue this later. My parents were horrified that hundreds, if not thousands, of people were commenting in a matter of hours. I later told them the numbers basically doubled and kept growing, which only increased their horror. So I guess they were forced to take a hard look at their own actions. My sister also tried calling me while I was at work. But my phone was on silent until my lunch break, so all she could do was leave messages and texts. But she was persistent and managed to reach me when I was eating my lunch. The gist of the conversation was that my post had alienated our parents, and now they were angry with her. In the ensuing argument between them, my parents canceled the entire vacation. Yes, they later admitted they simply went from blaming me to feeling ashamed, fully accepting the blame. They told me no excuse could justify the fact that they made me their free babysitter when I wasn't even living at home. They tried to backpedal a bit by pointing out that they never charged me rent while I was in college. But I reminded them that children don't ask to be born, and I was doing my best to pave the way. I then pointed out that my father had the same kind of advantage as his parents. They allowed him to live at home for free while he was in college. That basically ended any remaining argument. When my sister managed to call me during lunch, I laid out the facts and she showed her true colors. She insinuated that I have no life, and that my free time on weekends should be spent helping her, because she's tired and unable to go out without taking her children with her, unless someone is watching them. She's a stay-at-home mom with a husband who makes a decent salary. They live in a pretty decent house that they own, not rent, and frankly, my nephews aren't really my responsibility. They were just forced on me and expected it to stay that way. My sister hung up on me angrily, but I recorded the call and then played it back to my parents later. They were furious and basically went to war with my sister. My sister stood her ground, blamed me, and then clung to her belief that my life should revolve around hers. I told her that was the most narcissistic and self-centered thing she'd ever said to me. It took days, but her husband finally intervened and forced her to apologize to me. I had never seen her so submissive to anyone, but she was on the verge of tears. Eventually, it was admitted that one of the reasons I was the preferred babysitter was because my sister didn't trust strangers. It was never about money, nor was it really. My brother-in-law thought my sister was paying me for my time watching her children after I moved out of my parents' house. She didn't even give me gas money. She just gave me cash, enough to order pizza for me and the kids, and pocketed the rest. My sister had been paying me less than her fair share for months. He erupted when this came up during her half-hearted apology. And she was forced to pay me what she owed me in cash entirely from her own savings, which upset him greatly. Afterward, my brother-in-law apologized to me for his own inaction in allowing my sister to abuse me, and she promised they'd get a regular babysitter from now on. Yes, it'll be a small hit to their wallets, but my sister will get her date nights back. Then came the family gathering the other night.
We all gathered at my parents' house and everything was put on the table with apologies and all.
Then my parents reinstated the family vacation, and yes, I still plan to drive myself and pay for my own hotel stay. I'll even stay in a completely different hotel if my sister tries to babysit me again, and I've made that clear. She promised me that won't happen, and if I don't update again after the vacation, then everyone will know everything is fine. Update 2. My sister called me, demanding I take down my posts. She's now more upset than ever, knowing how far it's spread. Having family that knows your Reddit account has its downsides. Yesterday, my sister called me after work to ask if the comments are still coming in. She said she can't stand the negativity of seeing them herself, because all the comments are so hurtful toward her, so I was brutally honest. At least 10 comments still come in every day, and most of them pretty much say the same thing about her. She started crying and demanded that I delete my Reddit posts, but I refused and told her she can cry to whomever she wants. But the posts will remain because they're my guarantee that she won't try to mistreat me ever again. After all, she literally felt like my life should revolve around hers. She didn't pay me the babysitting money I was supposed to, and kept it for herself. She forced me to be the constant babysitter on family vacations last year, so I had virtually no fun during that time. It's truly shocking that people have so much hate toward her when she treats me like this. Then, when I mentioned that the posts had already spread to other websites because they'd asked me a couple of times to write an article about my situation, and there are some videos that have also been read, my sister screamed upon hearing that and hung up. My parents then called me, begging me to take down the post. I refused and told them I only did this because they didn't stand up for me. This would never have happened if they had told my sister to treat me as an equal and not a servant. I'm not her butler, babysitter, or handyman. I'm her damn brother and a grown man. Wouldn't they be tired of this garbage on their shoes too? They agreed, but still begged me to take down the posts. I refused and said I'll keep posting more if they don't start defending me more when my sister comes. Crying at them. Let her clean up her own messes because everything they allowed her to do led to this. I wasn't the one who had those kids. I have my own life, a career I'm still new to, and hopefully a girlfriend soon since there's someone I want to invite. I'm moving forward in my life and I won't be stopped. They can get out of my way or keep trying to enable my sister, but I assured them the latter would end badly for them. The only way this Reddit post will stop is if the drama stops. I've kept things anonymous and I have the right to vent my frustrations, which are very valid, by the way. Well, that left my mom in tears, my dad simply silent. So I told them that tears don't move me. You know what it takes to put an end to this, and that's to stop indulging my sister. Well, my sister called me again to yell at me, that our parents told her they weren't going to deal with this anymore, and that she should figure it out herself. Oh, and they told her to be nicer to me, too. I just imagined her eye blinking as she screamed internally after hearing that. Being nice to my little brother? What's this, I'll Google it? Yes, I was so sarcastic to her, but I also left her in tears when I hung up. My brother-in-law called me later to get my side of the story. He was angry that I kept posting and made his wife cry, but I explained everything, and he said he'd talk to my sister again. I hope this drama finally ends here, but the family vacation is still scheduled for the end of June. I've already booked my room and asked for a day off from work so we can all go out on a Friday. My room is also not close to the ones my parents, sister, brother-in-law, and nephews will be using. In fact, it's not even on the same floor. And when we go to the coast, when it's not a family activity, I'll go wherever I want and do whatever I want. And you can bet I'll be scouring those art galleries. I'll feast on the local food and just enjoy being free for a change. Update 3. After the family vacation. Although the family vacation is over, some things, both good and bad, went as expected. On the positive side, my parents didn't support my sister's attempts to make me babysit. Yes, she tried, but on the negative side, my sister tried to figure out which room I was in, which she couldn't do, getting her in trouble with her husband again. First, I made sure to inform the hotel beforehand that they shouldn't share my information with anyone who requested it, except for the police if necessary. They assured me over the phone that they wouldn't tell anyone. On the first day of the vacation, I left earlier in the morning than the rest of the family, knowing they wouldn't be able to move as a group until at least 10 a.m. I left at 9 a.m. Check-in wasn't until 1 p.m. But I wanted to make sure I had a head start. I sent a group message to let them know and sped off for the 3-hour drive. My parents were upset because they had planned a family brunch along the way, but I pointed out that I was never informed about that, so it was canceled in favor of fast food as I had planned. I arrived at the hotel early, too early for check-in, but I told the front desk staff there to make sure they didn't give my information to my parents or sister. They claim they didn't, but I told them I know for a fact it still happens sometimes. So I'm covering my ass. When they're dealing with my mother, and 3 potentially whiny children trying to pressure them at the counter, they better not give in. I wanted to know if they tried anything. They clumsily promised me that no one but me would have access to my room. Then I decided to go out and get something to eat. I returned over an hour later, and there were my parents' car and my brother-in-law's big SUV. I went to the counter to check in after making sure the lobby was clear, which it was. Then I asked the clerk if my family had asked about me and where I was staying in the hotel. Yes, they had, but the clerk refused to tell them. Apparently, my sister had tried to put pressure on her, but her husband got the better of her. I checked in, went to my room, and then called my parents. I didn't mention that I knew what they tried to do with the employee, and conveniently, they didn't either. Then we all gathered as a family to go out and explore. At one point, my sister asked me to watch her kids for a moment, to which I replied, "No way, I'm kidding," because I knew exactly what she was doing. She would pretend to leave for a moment and then be gone for an hour. I confronted her, and her husband told her to stop trying to make me watch her kids. What did my sister do? She just started crying on the spot and said she needed a break. Her husband scolded her, saying he was tired too, but she wasn't complaining. My mother gave me a dirty look, so I went straight to her and told her if she even thought that I should be watching those kids, I would walk away from this family vacation right now. It's not my job, and I'm sick of her and my sister acting like it is. Well, that made my mom start crying too, and then she just started repeating the words, "You're right," over and over again. This is another old tactic of hers. She tries to look pathetic to blame me, but I simply said, "I'm right," and to leave him before walking away. Neither my mom nor my sister tried anything for the rest of the day. When we returned to the hotel after dinner, my family was piled into the elevator. But I didn't go in with them. They asked why, and I said I'd wait for the next one. My sister glared at me because she knew exactly what I was doing. Then I just sat in the lobby watching YouTube on my phone for 15 minutes, and then took the elevator. It was on a different floor, and at the other end of the hotel, I had a splendid evening, and the next day we all went out to breakfast. But I made sure they left first. I was the last one out, just like I was the last one in the night before. Breakfast went well, then I gave a warning that I was going to do my own thing during the day. My mom tried to mention plans to go to the aquarium and a couple of other places, so I said I'd see them for that, but the rest of the day was mine until family dinner. They agreed to this, and that day went well too. Back at the hotel that night, my sister caught me leaving my room. She must have been stalking the entire floor looking for me. I went back to my room to relax a little before dinner because I was tired of walking so much, and my sister was right down the hall. When I left my room to meet them for dinner, she tried to corner me and say I would ruin the family vacation for her, because now it wasn't much different for her than at home, since she had to deal with her children. I called that a lie because my parents were helping her a lot. Then I told her I'm sick of this scapegoat game and that I'm done. So leave me alone and get on with your own life. Then I started walking with her yelling, "Hey, I'm trying to talk to you." I told her I didn't care and that I was going to dinner. She followed me to the elevator and we both fell silent. I didn't stay quiet and told my parents and brother-in-law that my sister had stalked me to find my room. They scolded her like a child. She had a pity party. I told her to stop being dramatic and grow up. The old days when she could force her will on me were over, and then I walked out of the lobby toward my car. This time, I was the first one to arrive at dinner. When the others arrived, my sister seemed depressed. But absolutely nothing was said about what happened earlier, and that was fine with me. My sister refrained from making contact with me throughout the evening, and this time I didn't mind sharing the elevator with the others. I told them point blank that unless it was an emergency, no one should knock on my door. I had the Do Not Disturb sign up for a reason. The last day passed without a hitch. Neither my sister nor my mother bothered me at all. They had completely given up at this point. Yes, throughout the trip, I played a little with my nephews. I'm not a complete idiot. I didn't ignore them. I was still the fun uncle, just not the babysitting uncle. The kids didn't even seem to care. They just wanted to play. I even bought each of them one of those little bags of crystals and polished stones to take home as a souvenir. There was a bit of drama between my sister and her husband, but those were just a few minor disagreements I didn't bother paying attention to. In short, I'd call the vacation a victory. Update 4. Well, my mom and sister saw my last post and they really don't know when to let things go. I warned them that if they didn't stop, I'd go back to Aradip, and here I am. Long story short, my mom and sister went crazy. My sister had been stalking my account for days because she knew I'd post something. Well, what did she expect? Just to say everyone had a good time? She called me and cried because I made her look like a bad mother. I ended up replying, well, if the glass slipper fits. My sister argued with me some more, but I asked her to name something in the post that was a lie. She tried several times, but I pointed out that every detail was accurate. So what does she do? She calls mom. Then my mom shows up at my door demanding I delete all the posts. I told her no, and now I have ammunition for one more. I ended up making her leave in tears. I spoke to my mom and dad on the phone later, and I told them point blank that their support for my sister led to the old family dynamic. I'll never go back to the way things were, so if they have any hope of that, I'm extinguishing it once and for all. My parents then told my sister, for the love of God, to stop blaming me and leave me alone. They can't take the stress of my retaliation anymore. Well, my sister had a literal nobody likes me pity party, and my parents had to bring her back to reality. My brother-in-law hasn't called. I'm pretty sure he's staying neutral. But this can't be good for his marriage or my familial connection with him. Out of respect for my brother-in-law, I'm sorry, man, but your wife just pushed me too far. Currently, my parents are insisting my sister get counseling because she can't be a mother and juggle the habits of her former life at the same time. Get over it, as they say. Anyway, I hope this is my last post. Did you hear that, sis? If you keep thinking I should have been your personal slave, babysitter, guard dog, etc., and you want to keep acting like the whole world is against you because I can't be controlled by you, then we can't be around each other. Maybe we can get along and get over this shit if you're willing. Don't give me reasons to write anything else. Reddit posts about you only involve me and the treatment I receive from people. Treat me like a decent human being and this will blow over. Capiche? Quick update. My parents and I had a long talk, and for now we've agreed that I'll keep my distance until Thanksgiving. I also had a man-to-man conversation with my brother-in-law last night over a few cold beers. He told my sister she needed counseling or he'd separate from her, and they're in the process of finding her a counselor. He also told me that although my sister was an absolute bitch to me at home, she's a very loving and caring wife. However, she admitted that she liked being an only child. We're almost a decade apart in age, so my sister harbored some resentment about it for a long time and just let it build up. She agrees that she needs counseling, and they'll come as soon as they arrange it. They also found a qualified nanny to watch my nephews. Aside from those things, my brother-in-law also admitted he was mad at me, but he didn't intervene when he needed to. So we agreed that this was just a very bad situation that needs to end. We're going to let it rest in peace from now on. Lastly, these posts got me a girlfriend. The girl I like had a feeling it was me after reading them, and she was just waiting for me to say something. We're going on our first date tonight, so I thank everyone here for their immense support. I really needed it.